Oh, welcome back, guys. G Funky Boxing. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. Being joined by my co-host tonight, 97 Rough. How's it going, man?
I'm doing great, brother, and I'm also doing much better seeing that we got our guest with us here today from the podcast Third Man in the Ring and ref Ray Popeye Corona.
That's right. Let's give him a hand.
Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, man. It's our pleasure. And let me tell you guys something real quickly about Ray Corona, guys. You guys all know a few weeks ago, I was down in LA for the Santillan Rocha fight. My fighter, my guy Joe Sean James, was fighting on that card. And I got a chance to meet up with Ray in person there. We took a picture, we talked for a little bit. Jack Reese was there as well. And I'm gonna tell you guys, Ray, such a nice guy, and he's a really, really nice guy, very easy to talk to. And again, like Dave said, subscribe to his channel. While we get going during the show, guys, I'm gonna go get the link to his channel. I'll put it in the chat so that you guys can subscribe to his channel, and you guys will not regret it. Trust me, man. Some of the best content in the boxing community here on YouTube.
For sure. Yep.
Comes from Ray Corona's channel, guys. So make sure you check it out. So Ray, give the fans here that are listening a brief little introduction on your channel, man.
Well, Third Man in the Ring is just pretty much a referee's perspective. I do MMA as well, so it's going to be a perspective from the referees and the judges. And real quick, excuse me, Arlene. Yeah, so it's a referee's perspective of MMA and boxing. You're going to hear from our point of view, and what it is, we like to educate the fans the rules, And this is why I told you guys, I don't know how I could follow up Jack Reese, because Jack Reese is our mentor. Jack Reese and Tom Taylor, yeah.
No, you're gonna do great, Ray, because like I see, your channel is just phenomenal, man. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, I've been curious since the podcast has came out, and also just to let folks know, if you're on TikTok, you could follow it there as well. And Ray and his wife, his lovely wife, they get on live and do date questions and stuff. And I thought that's just genius, man. It's just phenomenal when you do that and you interact with the listeners and stuff. But the one standing question I've always had for you was, what made you decide, hey, I'm going to get behind the mic like a lot of these other vatos doing it? And from the horse's mouth, as you said it earlier, before we went live, you decided to do this. Because to me, that's a very courageous and big leap for guys, because normally you don't see officials wanting to take a dive into that side of the pond.
Well, I mean, what it is sometimes, and I'm not blaming them, but we're all pretty much at fault as far as I'm concerned. My opinion is sometimes we educate the fans and we don't know the rules. Sometimes the commentators will educate the fans and they don't know the rules. So pretty much I started it. I wanted to start it in more of a defense. You know what? Oh. The rules, guys. So don't judge a fight 10-10 round. That's not legal, and we can't make up our rules just because we want to make up rules. If that's the case, the losing guy would have won and the winner would have lost. And we just can't make up the rules. It's like the law, bro. Like Jack says, the law of the land is the law of the land, and we can't make up these rules. So when I thought about it, I go, why don't I start a podcast talking to officials? And what were you thinking? Or what made you stop that fight? What made you continue to let that fight go on? Or judges, why would you give that fight a 10-10 round when legally there's no such thing as a 10-10 round? And I'm talking about the Garcia Tank Davis fight, So stuff like that. I just wanted to really do it as a defense, pretty much. But I branched out and done other things as well, but that's the reason I did it. Yeah.
It always makes me think of you see a lot of commentators that are ex-fighters, and I've heard them say certain things, and I'll be like, I don't remember that ever being in the rule. What fighter, if you can name, have you heard when you're like, that's completely wrong? Like that he shouldn't have said that. And have you ever had a chance to even talk to any of these commentators, ex fighter commentators, and kind of like, lend them an ear by saying, hey, that was wrong what you said on the commentary. This is the official rule.
Well, no, it's funny you say that, because right now I have Abner Mares and Sergio Ortiz and Timothy Bradley. I'm just trying to find dates to go talk to them, but I'm gonna wear my headgear when I interview them, because I'm gonna rip into them, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hope they don't keep my butt on camera there, but I'm
You
gonna
got watch out for those headbutts from Timothy Bradley, brother.
right. That's right, But on a serious note, this is why I tell them,
Right.
you know what, I want to interview, but I'm going to put you on the hot seat as well as you put us on the hot seat. And this is why Jack Reese had offered them free to take the class.
Right.
You know what I mean? And unfortunately, they were all busy, so I'm not going to say they just didn't want to go. They all had fights that weekend, and we got to pay the bills, so they didn't attend. But not to change the subject, but if Joe Blow out there, or even you guys, want to be officials,
right,
my advice from Ray Corona is take Jack Reese's class. Jack Reese is one of the top referees in the world, and he gives a class once a year, soularbiter.com, and he runs you from the basics to the advanced in a 3-day period. It's a lot to take in, but he gives it to you straight, and he'll tell you straight. That's New York Jack. He tells it like it is. But
right,
when I get those commentators on my podcast, I really want to ask them, why would you say this? I have my little question. I'm not going to reveal that now, but why would you say this? Why would you say it? Just like I respect the man, but do I like his commentator mentality, Teddy Atlas? No, I don't.
Right.
Viciously rip us apart and literally educate the fans just totally wrong in the rules. And I ain't gonna lie, it hurt my feelings,
Yeah.
And he would say that should have been a 10-10 round. You know what? Those fighters get in that ring and they deserve to win if they won the round. They don't deserve a draw. And like I always tell the fans, if you really want to be critical of the judges, here's my best advice to you. It might be a little different, but next time you watch a fight, get a scorecard in front of you, turn off the volume, score each round 10-9. Winner gets 10, loser gets 9. If there's a knockdown, it's 1 point. And at the end of that fight, whether it be 8, 10, 12 rounds, after you tally up the score, you'd be surprised who won.
I like that what you're saying right there, Ray. But let me counter that with what you just said right now. Turn off the volume. Well, how is it that us fans got to turn down the volume, but the judges that are there with the audience, they have the full sound? Doesn't that interrupt or cloud their decision on a round?
I'm not really a judge, but the reason I'm telling the fans, if they're watching it on TV, because the commentators can influence you,
right?
Which way to go?
Got you.
And the reason why I turn it off, so you won't hear that, you won't hear the loud, and at the same time, you need to score that round as soon as the round is over. You don't have time to watch the instant replay.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good point that you made, and you know what? You're absolutely right. Guys like Teddy Atlas, I can't stand when there's a close fight, and because he feels strongly that one guy won the fight, and that guy doesn't officially get the win, he comes like, it's a robbery, it's corruption, and all this nonsense. It just irritates me for these guys to say that boxing is corrupt, the commission is corrupt, all these things like that. I have personal friends in my life that work for the commission. They're inspectors. There is no corruption, none within the commission. Can you speak a little bit on that? I know you said it kind of hurts you to hear someone like Atlas say that, but let us know, like, when you hear that kind of nonsense, what's the first thing that goes off in your head, right?
Well, let me be as honest as I can be. Is there corruption? No, I don't. Is there politics? Yes. And what I mean by politics, there's a lot of club fighters. Let me just go that route. There's a lot of club fighters that could give Tank Davis, Andy Ruiz great fights, but because they don't have the right manager, the right promoter, that's where the politics fall. You know, they can't get that fight. But is there corruption? Let's be honest, guys. With all the cameras, with all the videos, with all the recording devices, who would be stupid enough? Now, is it tried? I don't know. I've never tried to sway me to, hey, do this, do that. But you'd be stupid. And even as officials, you'd be stupid to throw your career away, you know, to do something crooked or something like that. And as far as, I mean, we have politics in Little League. You got Joe, the manager, having his kid that can't pitch a lick being the pitcher. Those are
you know, yeah, that's true. Yeah, and
everything.
Exactly. That's a great point that you made. The club fighters don't have the promoter or the manager with the kind of influence to get them those kind of fights. You're 100% correct. And I agree with you on the point that guys like Atlas and other guys out there who say these things that have huge platforms, right? They need to be more responsible with what they say over the airways, because they have a lot of influence over the fans too. And it's not that damn hard to research the rules to get it right. It's not that hard to reach out to a Ray Corona to ask him, is this how things are done? A Jack Reese. I mean, look at my channel. I have 2,600 subscribers to this channel. Not a big channel, but I'm able to get someone on like yourself, Ray and Jack, to come on here and break it down from the people that actually do this for a living. It irritates the hell out of me. Like Joe Rogan did the same thing when Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury fought for the third time. He criticized Russell Mora's refereeing in that fight. When Fury went down, he claimed that he gave him too much time to recover, that he should have been knocked out, when in reality what happened was Wilder did knock him down, but he didn't go to the neutral corner. So Mora stopped the count and told Wilder to go to the neutral corner and resume the count. And there is nothing wrong with that. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. Yet he went on his podcast where millions of people listen every week and is saying, oh, this referee gave Tyson Fury too much time and he should have been knocked out. Wilder should have won the fight. I mean, that's irresponsible, man. Go ahead, Ray.
Of Mr. Mora, who is a great referee, in the defense, and this is my opinion, Ray Corona's opinion. Look at the Ortiz Mayweather fight years back when Joe Cortez. Great legendary referee, great referee. I have nothing but 100%, but we're not perfect.
Yeah.
What the fault was, what I seen in that thing, is he didn't tell Mayweather to go to the other side of the ring when he was point from Ortiz, and he just stepped back and let him. Now, if he would have told him go to the corner and stay there till I'm done taking a point from Ortiz, and then let him continue, maybe it wouldn't have turned out the way it turned out. You know, But that was it was a minor mistake that changed the whole outlook of the fight. So when Morris told him to go to the stop the count and told him to go to the corner, that's a rule, guys. And if you don't change it, I mean, if you do try to change it because, hey, I think it was right or I think it was wrong, I mean, then all of us will change our rules, you know? And you'll have more controversy.
I like what you said, taking a little back, going back with your podcast, where you said, hey, look, I'm doing this to kind of correct the wrongs that we've kind of created. And, you know, what G Funky was saying, hey, you know, we could reach out to the officials. But to be fair, I remember, you know, I've been podcasting for a very long time. And I remember going up to Jane 80 and going, hey, man, I'd love to get you on, ask you some questions. And he looked at me very stern and he said, I'm sorry, I would love to do that, Dave, but we're told not to speak to anybody from the media. Why is that changed? And do you think, I agree with you guys about Teddy Atlas, but I think Teddy Atlas at the same time too wasn't able to get you guys to sit down to speak to you guys because there was a code silence between media and the officials, right?
You there?
Yeah, we're here.
I'm sorry.
No worries. Did you catch all that, or you want to repeat?
No,
Want me to?
no. Can you do that real quick?
Yeah, I was saying, wasn't there like a code of silence between the media and officials? Because like I said, I asked Jay Nady, God, I want 10 years ago to come on and leave in the ring so I could speak to him, and he was like, "I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that. We're not allowed to speak to media." When did that change?
Well, in California, I need the approval of Andy Foster, the executive officer, Andy Foster, and told him my game plan, what I want my podcast is about. He said, "Okay, Ray, you have our blessings from the state of California, but you're still held accountable for what you say." With that said, I can't speak on upcoming fights. I can only speak on past fights. I can't quote him unless I ask him, "Can I quote you?" And Mr. Foster, he feels it's better to address the issue than sweep it under the rug. Now that's California. Nevada, it is a little bit different. Even though we have the same rules, same structure, they don't like their officials to talk to anybody. As you know, I do MMA as well.
Right.
And the big controversial judge call with Michael Bell, a California official. He judged the MMA fight in Las Vegas, and Andy Foster gave him the blessing to talk about it on my podcast. But the executive officer from Nevada said no. So I told Michael Bell, let's wait until he says yes, because I don't want to put you. So going to Jay Nady, Las Vegas doesn't like them to talk unless they ask for permission. That was 10, 15 years ago, like you said.
Right.
Because on my podcast, I already talked to Mr. Mora. I talked to Tony Weeks. And I have a couple other interviews coming up, and they got their approval. So, their executive officer is a little bit different than ours. But Andy Foster told me it's better to address the problem than sweep it under the rug. That's his opinion. So, yeah.
Well, let's thank Andy for that, because
let's give him a hand. Yeah, that's great. No, that's great because with this thing that
you guys should interview Andy Foster.
I'd love to.
That guy is like he's an encyclopedia of rules. He's an encyclopedia of boxing, and he was a fighter himself, MMA, and so he'll give you, and he will. I mean, let me toot the horn of California. Andy Foster got a pension for the boxers and MMA. The only state. He's always looking out. You want to talk to him about weight cutting. He's very strict on weight cutting. So yeah, you guys should hook up with Andy Foster.
Oh yeah, and I remember you mentioned that last time I had you on about this time last year about the pension here in California for the fighters, and I think that's fantastic, man. Yeah. And again, this is something that fight fans here on YouTube wouldn't even know, again, unless they spoke to someone like yourself or listen to your channel, and here's guys, I gotta hear. There's this channel right there. There's the link to it. Make sure you subscribe to it, guys. I mean, it's a great channel, great interviews. And I just love the fact that, like you said, California's open to addressing things with the fans out there. That's fantastic. So I do have a question about a fight that you did last year, Ray. There's a fight down in Southern California. I believe the WBC title was on the line for Jose Zepeda and Regis Prograis. That fight ended up in a knockout. I believe it was in the 11th round, maybe 10, something like that.
Carson.
And yes, in Carson. Great setting there for fights. I want to ask you, what did you see in Zepeda when you stopped that fight? I was anticipating you to count because of Zepeda's reputation for getting knocked down and then getting back up and fighting back, fighting hard. What did you see in Zepeda and in that knockdown, Ray, for you to just wave it off for Zepeda? I'm sorry, for Prograis. My mistake.
Yeah. Well, it went 11 rounds. I'd say after the 4th round, you could see Progress starting to beat up. What's his name again?
Cepeda.
Sorry, and starting to beat him up. And again, this is where I always tell the fans, even ringside doesn't hear what I hear when they're getting hit to the body and they're like, oh, you know what I mean?
Right.
You could feel Cepeda getting broken down. Was he still fighting? Yes, he was. Now, I don't know if you guys want to take this as an excuse but this is the reason why I stopped it when I stopped it, at least looking at it now. If it's a 12-round fight and mathematically he's lost 8 rounds, you, Aurelia, our chief inspector, will yell out to me or any of the officials, you know what he means. Like, he's taking a beating. He's lost mathematically. The only way he's going to win is by knockout. So you better look for a way to get him out of there. So come about, I think it was the 9th round, he was taking body shots. He was taking head shots. And I just felt that he's taking a beating. There's no way he's going to win. So when he took it to him in the 11th round, I stopped it, you know. Now, mind you, so and again, this isn't you can call it an excuse, a cleanup, but Cepeda didn't complain, you know.
Right.
No, he didn't. He sure didn't.
No.
Yeah, and I was thinking, man, he's got a reputation for, and we saw, I think it was a fight or two before this fight where he was knocked out, I think 3-4 times, and then he came back to knock the guy out.
Yeah.
So I always told myself, I said, man, if I ever get Ray back on, I definitely want to ask him about that and get his perspective, because you are the 3rd man in the ring. You know.
But on another fight, I don't know if you guys seen the Mendoza-Fundora fight.
Yes.
It's crazy because Fundora was winning all 7 of those rounds.
Right.
And and Mark Aurelia yelled out to me, you know, Ray, about Mendoza taking a beating. You know, he's getting down. And the very next round, Mendoza knocked off Fundora. Crazy, you know. They wanted me to look out to stop this fight because this guy was taking a beating, and it turned out that guy. So, like they say, one punch can change everything, you know.
What did the kid tell you? I mean, because I met the kid. I've interviewed him, interviewed his dad, and you know, really nice folks and stuff. After his mind cleared out a little bit, did the family say anything to you, or was it just complete silence? Has any fighter that's been stopped or you've had to stop, have they engaged with you after, you know, or everybody goes their own separate ways?
Pretty much everybody goes their own separate ways. I mean, you know, a lot of these fighters, you got to save them from themselves, bro.
Right.
I always say in the dressing room when I'm giving instructions, you can't, first of all, you can't treat a 4-round, 8-round the same way you treat a title fight. A title fight, you gotta take it to that edge, you know. Like Jack says, there's a small percentage there when to stop a title fight. Where if it's an 8-rounder or a 6-rounder or a 4-rounder, you know what? The guy can come back and fight another day. But when they're fighting for a title, that might be their only chance to fight for a title. And a dressing room at a title fight is, if you're in trouble, I'll take you to deep water, but I'm not going to let you drown. And what I mean by that, if you're taking too many shots and mathematically you cannot win, I'm going to stop the fight. And then I always end it with, I'd rather you be mad at me today than you're mad at me in the morning.
Yeah,
that's a good point, because
sometimes, and I think nobody has been seriously injured in any of my fights, you know. And again, to California's horn, we are the most trained officials in the world. We have officials from all over the world coming to Jack Reese's class. You know, again, Jack Reese and Tom Taylor are my mentors, if not all of ours. And these guys, even though Tom's been a referee a lot less time than me, they're just I see them as my mentor, and they're very confident. They're encyclopedia of boxing. And no joke, if we mess up, man, Andy Foster will sit us down, bro. He'll sit us
I'm
down.
glad you said that because people, I shouldn't say people, boxing fans believe that that doesn't happen, that doesn't exist within the commission. And again, because I know people in the commission, right? I speak to them about this, but it's better coming from someone like yourself. I'm so glad you said that, Ray, because yeah, when when they see a pattern, just like any other job, right?
Yeah.
There's going to be a sit down at some point and say, "Hey, what's going on here?" Same thing with judging. You know, if someone continues to put in scorecards that are kind of like, "Whoa, like where's this coming from?" You know,
Yeah.
yeah, it's they're going to end up going down from, you know, maybe championship level, then they maybe might go down to the club level for a little bit, you
Yeah.
know, and judge fights there. I'm so glad you said that, Ray, because that clears up a lot of nonsense that
I mean,
is said
after
amongst fans.
after every fight, we have a debrief.
Yep.
Aurelia and Andy Foster, they'll ask you straight out in front of everybody, what were you thinking there? Why did you do that? Or why did you score that? Or why didn't you stop it? Or do you think you stopped it a little too early? And they don't hold nothing back. And Andy has never actually told that to us or told me that, but it's pretty much, don't bring shame on California. We'll sit your butt down. He don't care who, Jack, me, to anybody, you know?
I love that.
Big time. We're held accountable.
Are you guys told as refs that it's unethical to have relationships or friendships with fighters, or do you guys just automatically don't do that, or do you do that? Do you have close relationships with certain teams and fighters?
Well, with that said, you know, Jack and Tom encourage all of us, you know, don't just go referee at the fights. You need to go to the gyms and get in the ring. So we're gonna meet fighters. We're gonna know fighters,
right?
But we are encouraged by Andy Foster, Jack, and Tom. You know what? You shouldn't take pictures with active fighters for the simple fact it just doesn't look right. You know, it just doesn't. And for the simple fact, if there's if you referee their fight and there's a controversial call, and his opponent, or even the fighter you might have took a picture with might have said, well, hey, why'd you do that? And, you know, I thought we were friends. Or
right.
Or the opponent that lost, well, you know what, you know, you stopped the fight because you're real buddies with that fighter because I seen you take a picture, or he was on your podcast. This is why I can't interview active fighters. So it just doesn't look right. But again, on my side, what official would be that stupid to throw away their career and be crooked? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And I know we're not talking about my little testimony, but the way I was raised, bro, from foster home, juvenile hall, to youth authority, to prison, I've been all over the world and got paid for it. Who would have thought, you know? And I think all glory to God that I've done things that I never thought I would do. I would never throw away my career for anything. But going back to what you said, yes, it's encouraged. Don't take pictures with active fighters. Don't if you're like prior to this Rocha fight,
right,
found to go eat at the restaurant the night before, and some of the fighters were out there. Rocha was out there. Robert Garcia was out there. I could have went over there to their table and sat down and ate, but it just wouldn't look right. You know what I mean? So I sat by myself, me and my wife, and you know, we said hello, and that was it. You know what I mean?
You know,
yeah.
I'm glad that you brought up your past, because I did want to talk a little bit about that involving in boxing. You know, my dad is in his 70s. You know, my dad's been around for years, and thank you, Ray, too. Every time I reach out to you, you always ask me about my father, bro. Much appreciated and stuff. Watching the fights, and we're sitting there, and my old man, you know, was watching with me. My dad didn't become a boxing fan till later in life because of me. He fell in love with the sport, and he's sitting there and he's watching you. And my dad goes, "Hey, I think that vato's a homeboy, man." My dad got so excited, bro. Like the light in his eye, you know what I mean? It was so good to see my old man like get so excited. And my dad's all, Hey, I'm telling you right now, Mil, that's a homeboy right there. And I was like, I don't think so, Dad. You know. Then I started looking you up, and I was like, oh shit, my old man is right. You know. And so when I told my dad about it, my dad goes, "It's so good to see homeboys," because my dad did 17 years in the pen. He went all the way down from Folsom, Quinton, in Idaho, the whole works. You know.
Yeah.
You know, my pops came from a very rough background and stuff, and my dad goes, man, it's good to see a homeboy do that because you don't see guys like us that make it that far and be that successful. And I come from the streets too. You know, I didn't have my dad for, like I said, almost over 17 years. So I went through the juvenile systems, et cetera, you know. And me and G Funky were talking about this a little earlier. My question is to you is, do you think that the way they reform the kids that go into juvenile hall, is it enough, or do they even do enough to prevent them to go into the next step, going into gladiator schools and stuff? Because I feel like our system here, especially here in California, is that they just kind of throw you in there and they pretty much are telling the kids, figure it out. They're not helping them figure out that there's more than just like either the street life, gang life, or whatever you're involved, the drug life out there for them.
When I'm 6 years old, bro. When I was in juvenile hall and youth authority, it was 78, 83 in youth authority. It's just a warehouse, bro. It's just a warehouse.
Right.
They offer trades and stuff, but it's the mentality. It's your heart, you know. Back in my days, it was a street status, bro. If you were constantly going through the jail system, you had that street credibility. And again, back then, I see my older brothers doing it. I just felt this was part of life, you know?
Right.
I got older and I went to prison. I just seen this isn't what I want in my life, you know? And, but going back to your question, you have, you in YTS, there's like 100 guys in a tier with
right.
one. What can he do, you know?
Yeah.
And he's got to try to handle 100 inmates, teenagers. It's impossible, bro. So to me, you want to change, it's got to be in your heart. It's got to be in your mind. Ain't nothing going to change it but yourself, you know?
Right. And I know that everybody's got to go, like my pops didn't reform and change until his mid 30s, you know, probably even a little later than that and stuff. At what point, you know, I'd love to tell you why my dad did, but my old man's one of those old school vatos that, like, I don't even know why he went in. I asked him, like, hey, Dad, you know, why'd you go in there? And he'll go, none of your business, homie. Just relax. He hates being questioned. You know what I mean? It's
my business.
Yeah. So when did you realize, hey, I'm at the end of the road. I'm either going to need to change or I'm going to end up like the rest of everybody else that's been down this path?
You know, having my sons, I have 7 kids, 5 boys. I didn't want that for my children, my boys. I didn't want that. And then when I met my second wife, Arlene, she really put her foot down, bro. And I was still using a lot of meth. You know, I'm a truck driver. So back in the 80s and 90s, that was the drug to keep us all as truck drivers alive, you know. And
it was going around a lot.
Yeah. So, you know, when I'm 60 now, and when I was 45, she finally just put her foot down. She said, if you don't stop these drugs, I'm going to leave you, you know. And, you know, it wasn't that I doubted her, but yeah, okay, Baze, I'm going to stop. I'll stop. You know, I was a functioning drug addict, you know.
Right.
And I was actually a referee as well, too, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy.
Record, I'll say it like that. I'm on a Showtime fight. It looked like I was chewing super bubble gum, but I had no bubble gum.
Whoa.
Whoa.
My wife ripped into me, you know.
Hey, that's, you know, it's crazy because, you know, you say active, you know, my dad same thing, you know, like he never missed a day of work. There was no such thing as being cruel. My old man was like, hey, you went party last night? Get up, you know, 4 a.m, get your ass out there and trabajar, he would say, right? Man,
Yeah.
that's amazing, man.
Oh, you know, you go to work. You got to go to work. You know, we have bills to pay. But when I was 45, it was a Friday, and I came home and she was gone, bro, with my boys.
Oh,
3 sons with her, and she left my other 4, and she took the 3 boys. And as God is my witness, bro, you know, it must have been 1 a.m. I was doing my thing, up all night, and I got on my knees, man. I just said, you know, now mind you, all through my jail and all that, and youth authority and juvenile hall and prison, I stood away from Christianity. I thought it was a sign of weakness.
mm-hmm.
He left me. I got on my knees, bro, and I said, you know what, God, if you bring me back my wife and my boys, I will stop this. Now, mind you, I did methamphetamine speed for almost 26 years every day, maybe a day here and there because the connection didn't have none, but I did that 26 years. As God is my witness, bro, my 45th birthday, I was tweaked out. I've never touched it since, and I'm 60 years old now. That's God, bro.
Damn.
Power of God.
Yeah, that deserves an ovation. And,
Yeah, brother.
You know, unfortunately,
I tell myself, man, that's the Holy Spirit, brother. You know.
yeah, I'm right there with you on that. And you know, I should say, fortunately for myself, I've never had to do any kind of time like that. My grandfather, you know, we were speaking a little bit prior to us going live. You know, he was from the old school, the 1920s. You know, he did time.
Yeah.
He did time in the 1940s. My dad did time. I had uncles that did time. I had cousins that did time. And the fortunate part for me was that, you know, when I was a teenager, I got into some trouble, but they kind of told me, said, hey, you ain't trying to go. You ain't trying to go there, man. Trust me, you know, and they really smartened me out early. So I thank God for that I had those men in my life to tell me, you know, look, I've been there and done that. You don't want to do it, man. And
Right.
I've had family members that deal with addiction as well that have been clean for close to 30 years now. And you know, that's great, Ray. I'm glad that you found something to help you get through those demons, you know.
You know, the one.
Don't make me pull out my Bible right now. We'll have a little Bible.
No. We
You know, I was gonna say
I got mine right here, dude.
I was gonna say this, Ray, that in boxing, most of us become fans because we go for the underdog. We're always praising that great story, and you have one of those phenomenal stories with that, you know, because like I just mentioned, my dad immediately recognizing, you know, that, you know, he's like, hey, this guy's been where I've been before, and just like with you.
Gangster can recognize a gangster, bro.
That's it, brother. You know, and it's so great because like G Funky was talking about, you know, and like I said, I did my time. It was just fortunate that my primos and my uncles were in there. So to me, it was like you just mentioned right now, you just kind of followed the footsteps, and I did the same thing. But I learned at a very quick age. I was like, you know what, this isn't for me. You know what I mean? Like I like being out in the street too much and being with the ladies and etc. So I got out as quick as I got in. I got on out. But a lot of folks, like my uncle Mocho, didn't make it. He ended up passing away a couple years back due to drugs. My cousin Jeff passed away just a couple years back, like 3-4 years ago. Same thing from PCP. A lot of my primos and tios got really hooked on PCP because it was a 70 type of drug, you know. They never shied away from it and stuff. And luckily my dad would, you know, shied away from that and alcohol and smoking. And he's actually one of the last standing of his siblings and of his primos that are still around. So I applaud you the most, brother, because you know, we don't hear these stories, especially from another Mexican American Chicano that made it out of there and has made a success out of his life. And you know, I always bitch and complain because don't get me wrong, I like the American Me movies, I like the Blood In, Blood Out movie. Those are all fantastic. But I always bitch and complain, going like, you know what? Those are not the kind of movies I want my kids to grow up because I don't believe that's what it is to be Chicano. You know,
Yes,
so
yes.
when I hear somebody like you come out and you say, "Hey, man, yeah, I did all my trials and errors, but I woke up and I made something out of my life," that to me is what it is to be a Chicano.
Yes, sir. Yep, hard work. The hard work that our people put in this state, in this country, but specifically this state. A
Yeah.
lot of struggles and things like that. Yeah, that's what being a Chicano is, man. I agree. And Ray, you set a great example for a lot of people out there doing what you're doing. I mean, when I talked to you down in LA, we just talked briefly, but I said, hey, which fight you got tonight? You're like, I'm on the main event, like that's the good shit there, man. You're right up there at the top, bro.
Who would have thought when I was sitting in Soledad in Tehachapi,
Mm-hmm.
Who would have
Yep.
thought?
Yeah.
That's
And
great,
do
man.
you ever like? Let me ask you this: you're with the wife, and you guys are sitting there. Did your wife ever go, "Hey, wouldn't it be crazy one day you're the ref of the main event? You're the third guy for the big fight." And did you ever think that, or had that ever brought up in a dinner conversation ever before all this came to fruition?
My wife isn't a fan of boxing.
Mhm.
She just sits there and says, "I don't know what he was thinking wearing those shorts with those shoes. What was he thinking? He shouldn't have wore those colors. They don't match the ring." And that's my. She's only a fan of her son's boxing or
Hey, all women are the same, brother.
Yeah, yeah. Let me ask you this: has your past ever interfered with your profession now here in boxing? Have you ever came across somebody that either recognized you, hold a grudge against you, or any of that? Have you had to be like, "Hey, that was before, this is now"?
Well, no, not really. I've ran into a couple of enemies, and when I say enemies, I'm not a killer, bro. I never killing never interests me. I was, wannabe boxer, so I was confident with my hands. So I've probably lost more fights than I've won, to be honest. I've probably lost more fights than I've won, but I've been in a lot of fist fights and through the gang stuff. So I've ran into a few enemies like that, and they just, yeah, hey man, I'm glad you made it. So there was a lot of love and respect. Now mind
That's
you,
awesome.
my older brother did 35 years straight.
Damn.
That's heavy.
Wow.
35 years straight. And he committed a gang murder out here, and then he committed another murder in there. And so that kind of always sits in the back of my mind, because he was a heavy hitter, and I'll just leave it at that. He was a heavy. Sometimes I wonder if that's going to come back to haunt me. But thank God, God protects me, and so far so good, But mind you now, 10 years ago, Andy Foster wasn't our executive officer. Every time I would ask, when am I going to get a bigger fight? When am I going to get this? Some of these commission would tell me, instead of answering me, they say, "Oh, we're so proud of you, Ray, that you've changed your life." And after a while, I start thinking to myself, what's that got to do with me trying to get a bigger fight, Like they were like, be happy you're even here,
Yeah.
And I think as I matured as a Christian, I'm not a perfect Christian, as I matured as a Christian, and like Jack would always tell me, "Ray, just keep your mouth shut, keep doing good, and your time will come." And my Bible tells me, just keep praying, leave it in God's hands, and things will happen. And you know what? They're slowly happening. I've been all over the world, and I think I got 17 or 20 some title fights, world title fights. Nothing compared to Jack, but again, I've done my share of title fights and done my share of main events, and I have no complaints. Now it's a whole different Ray. I just keep my mouth shut and just, if it's God's will for me to get a bigger fight or a big fight, then so be it,
Yeah.
That's what I feel now.
Did you ever box in the system when you were down? Did you ever end up boxing in there or no?
I was boxing, fist fighting, or no?
Because I was going to ask you if you ever ran across Danny Trejo. Did you ever run across him? Because I know he was a lightweight champion in the system.
He's
Yeah.
a little bit older than me.
Uh-huh.
San Quentin. I never went to San Quentin. I went to Soledad and Tehachapi. and Chino. So yeah, he was a little bit older than me, and I learned a tough lesson when I first went to prison because I was so confident with my hands. I was so quick to put hands on people.
Yeah.
I got stabbed the first day, bro.
Oh.
I got stabbed the first day, and I ain't gonna say no name, but the big shot caller goes, "Hey, Ray, Popeye, this ain't YA, because in youth authority, that's what it was all about, fist fighting."
Right.
Yeah.
So it was a real reality, and I think that told me there, I don't like prison, because they're playing for keeps,
Right.
Yep.
You could be 6 foot, you could be 6'4", looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they'll still send 4 or 5 guys to hit you. And you could you could be 4'11", and they'll still send 6, 7 guys to go hit you. What it is playing there, Now, mind you, mud on me. I just put hands on the wrong guy,
Yeah.
But it wasn't no smutter. But I ended up getting him back the next day, so I had the last laugh. But I realized at the time, this ain't me. This is not me. It's not like youth authority where you could just get in a fist fight and, see you the next day.
Right.
So I think that was a good wake up call for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, your story is fantastic, man. And, from where you were to becoming one of the top referees in California and getting the big assignments, that's fantastic, Ray. And we wish you nothing but success here in the future. And recently I seen on Instagram, with all these things that you're doing, gonna be a grandparent now. Is that what I seen?
Yeah, this is 7 though. I already have 6, so this will be the grandbaby.
Well,
Yeah.
hey, we'll give you a hand for another one, man. That's great. I know.
It's gonna be Adrian, the professional fighter. He's having a baby, and I could see the difference in his attitude. His training he's just stepped it up that much more.
Oh, that's
Nice.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always said, a baby either make you or break you.
Yeah.
There's no left or right. You're either down the middle, you're gonna fall. And hey, let's really back with boxing, because I do want to ask you about React Jack this, but I'd like to hear what your thoughts about. And I know you can't speak about the performance of other refs, but if you were the third man in the ring with Usyk and he was dropped by that Daniel Dubois shot, how would you have handled it? Would it have been different, or would it stay the same?
I would like to think I would have done it different. That referee is a great referee. I've met him a few times at conventions, and but in my opinion, that wasn't a low blow. That hit him right on the belt line, right below the belly button. And this is where Jack teaches us, do what's right for boxing. Now, I don't know if you've seen, I did a fight with Negrete and Gonzalez. And it was a title fight. And Gonzalez hit Negrete right below the belly button on the belt line. And man, he dropped and rolled over. And I turned around and I said, get up. That wasn't a low blow. He hit you on the belt line. I turned around. I told Gonzalez, keep him up. It wasn't on the groin. It was just on the belt line. And I told Negrete, get up. Get up or I'm going to take a point. He jumped up right away and attacked Gonzalez. I almost felt like calling time, saying, I thought you were hurt, bro. Hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But going back to commentator, I watched the fight after, and Jack said that was a great call, Ray. But Timothy Bradley said, California referee, California fighter. So he puts on. But going back to that particular fight, I think I would have handled it different because it was so drama. I'm guessing the referee just played into it, but I would have just told him, no, that was on the belt line. Get up, or I'm taking a point away.
Yeah.
You think that he was, because Jack keep repeating this, and I completely agree with them. We're all human. We're human. And we're gonna make mistakes.
Yes.
But this was the second fight. I pointed out to Jack, this is the second fight that we've seen him play into Usyk's acting.
Antics.
Yeah, and antics. Exactly. And I just wonder, in your opinion, with yourself, have you ever fallen into where I've seen this guy fight a lot. I like this guy. I'm rooting for this guy. And you kind of forget that you're there for a job and not there to just cater to a particular fighter.
No.
But that can't happen though, right? That can't happen to an individual that's working that night.
That isn't being trained enough, in my opinion. Again, California is the most trained officials. Nevada's, in my opinion, is the most trained. New York, they come to us for training. And that's not to say that California is perfect, but we're just constantly held accountable, bro. Again, I don't care. I liked Rocha. I like Santian. I like them both.
Right.
It didn't matter who won that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Let me address this. Everybody says I do this. It's a nervous reaction. I'm constantly telling myself, watch for anything, look out for anything. Don't jump the gun. And I'm constantly just, everybody says, why do you do that? And you know what? I do it unconsciously because I'm constantly talking to myself. And no, I don't care if I like that guy or don't like that guy or like him or like them both. I'm going to do what's right. Because again, if I do wrong, I will not work for a while. Like Andy said, not the end of the world. You're not going to work for a while, but it's not the end of the world. I don't want to be on that. I don't want to be on that.
On that list. Right.
Yeah.
Hey, the whole time when you would do that, you know what I thought? And said, I'm not even messing. I was like, damn, Ray wants a Corona, bro. Somebody give him something. He's thirsty up there, man. I'm like, I wish I was there. I hand him my beer. I'm like, Ray, come on here, have a sip.
Ray, I want to ask you this now, since we're talking about how you ref that fight with the low blows, and you felt like the guy was putting more on it than he should have, and you told him, hey, get up. I remember, and I can't remember the fight or the referee. Sure.
Jack at the class. This was last year's class. I don't know what he did there. He actually had a little, those Dodger baseball bats?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
With the protector. And he would hit the protector while he had it on. Bro, you can't feel it. You can't feel it.
Yeah, he was telling us there were foul-proof guards. Yeah.
Now, mind you, when you're boxing, you don't get expected to get hit there. So I could see where you bend over. I've sparred many times, hundreds of times over my lifetime. And when I get hit low, I feel it. I feel it to the point where, he hit me where I wasn't supposed to get hit. But it's not painful like without a cup.
Yeah.
So when somebody gets hit below the belly button, what it is, if they're being honest, they're just reacting like, I got hit somewhere where I'm not supposed to get hit.
Right. It's a mental thing.
To roll over and do what that fighter did, and same with Negrete, they're just buying time or hoping I take a point from the other fighter. And this is where Jack and Tom trains us. Do what's right for boxing. As long as they didn't break the letter of the law, do what's right for boxing. This goes back to Jack's defense, which I don't think he needs defense. When he taught us, when you count a fighter down, when he gets up, evaluate him.
Yeah.
Walk to that corner. When you're in great shape, you can always walk forward. But to walk to the left or walk to the right, now you got to make your mind say, all right, turn and walk that way. Turn that. And that's doing what's right for boxing. But now, here comes the haters. Well, he beat the count, but now you're giving him 4 or 5
giving him
seconds.
more time. Yeah. Yep.
But
that's
you continue and get beat to death.
Yeah, people get irritated with that. Fans, I should say, get irritated with that. And you've explained that to me. Jack has explained it to us on his interview too. I just hope that it really does sink in with the fans that it's not to. And I've even heard some fans say this, they're trying to make it about them and not the fighters. Like, no, they're really looking out for these guys. But I want to ask you this.
And you could give me or any official is who did that fight, who refereed that fight.
Yeah.
Fight Ray, I didn't even notice you.
Yeah.
To toot my own horn, I always tell them, work out of the clinches. I try not to touch them because there's some fighters that are better inside. So why would I take that from them? So I always tell a fighter, work out of there, guys. Work out of there. Your hands are free. Work out of there. I'll keep talking to them like that. Because, again, some guys, they're better inside. And if I break them right away, You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, that's a great point. I want to ask you this, because I remember a long time ago, Dave, you might remember this fight. But there was a one time where the corner felt like they wanted the fight to end, so they grabbed the white towel,
Talon, the ref
threw the
threw it
towel in,
back out.
and the referee threw it back out. I don't remember which referee it was, which fight it was, but
Right.
most fans think that as soon as the corner throws a towel in, you automatically have to stop the fight. Is that a rule, or is it still up to your discretion to determine, hey, I think this fighter's had enough, or like, no, he can continue? What is the rule on that, Ray?
In California, our inspectors are supposed to throw in the towel.
Oh, okay.
In the dressing room, the inspectors will tell the corner, if you want to stop the fight, you tell me and I'll get up on the apron and stop the fight. But you know what? I'm not gonna, unless somebody's just trying to get a paycheck, which I haven't had that, go against the corner. Sometimes when the fight's going a little one-sided and it's taking a beating, I'll actually ask the corner, you want this to continue? Because I don't know any fighter's going to say, no, I don't want to continue. They'll fight to the death, most of them, you know?
Yeah.
And that's another story when the corner, oh, he's all right. Well, you're not getting hit, but all right, you know?
Yeah, that's true. They have to, most fighters, like you said earlier, have to be saved from themselves. The corners don't have enough experience in big fights. And yeah, that's your guys' job to protect the fighters. And I'm glad you pointed that out, that in California, it's the inspectors that do it. It's not just the cornerman throwing the towel into the ring and saying, hey, that's enough. You know, I wanted to clear that up because I think, especially amongst a lot of casuals, they feel like that's kind of like a universal rule. Like, hey, they're throwing in the towel, the referee has to stop the fight. But that's not necessarily true.
Hey, that explains why Apollo Creed, you know, when they're going to throw in the towel, he said, throw in the towel. He's like, I can't throw in the towel, bro. We're in California. Hey, Ray, let me ask you this. What is the distance that you should have when you're the third man in the ring and you're reffing a fight? What should be the amount of distance you should have so you could visually see everything that's going on in front of you?
I try to stay out of the way as much as possible. This is why I work out. I still run every day. I work out. I still go to the gym, and I get in with the little kids to the adults, to the pros. I try to just stay out of the way. Let me be a little blunt. It's a brutal sport, bro. I'm not going to jump while you're getting beat down, you know? So I'm going to keep my distance. I try to stay far away as I can, you know, as far away as I can. Now, if you got a lefty, two lefties or a lefty righty, I try to stay on the side where I could see the inside punches, you know. But every referee is a little different, but the less I'm seeing, the better I'll be evaluated by the bosses. So I'm always looking about my future, and my future is I don't want to be noticed. I don't want to be. The less I'm seen, the better.
I want to ask you this too, Ray. And I think I might know the answer, but I want to get it cleared up from you. And that's exactly why I brought you here, because I don't like to make assumptions about things. But we have a fight coming up next month between Devin Haney and Regis Prograis here in California, in San Francisco, to be specific. But you were the referee for Regis Prograis versus Danielito
Who told
Zorrilla.
you that? Did that tell you?
No, I seen the fight. I seen you there, and I was like, "Hey, there's Ray," and he's all the way over there in New Orleans now. Was that because of the sanctioning body, or did they reach out to you and say, "Hey, we need an experienced referee to ref this championship fight"? How did you end up getting that gig?
Oh, the WBC sanctioned body. The WBC, they called me.
Okay, I kind of figured that because Jack kind of mentioned that too for a few things. But go ahead.
The story on the Haney Progress fight, December 9th, what it is, Andy Foster said, you know, that's your fight, Ray. And I said, hey, thank you so much.
Ah, nice.
2 days later, Ben Lira, my son's trainer, called me and said, hey, we got a fight for Adrian December 9th in Long Beach.
Oh,
I said, without hesitation, I just said, you know what, okay. And I called up Andy Foster. I go, Mr. Foster, I'm going to have to pull out of my fight because I'll be a nervous wreck. I've never
Mhm.
children's events, if not their fights. And all my boys fought, and from amateurs, I'm just a nervous wreck, bro. And now that he's a pro, I would be no good up there. And if I brought shame on California, I might cut my own throat, you know.
mm.
So, I gave up that fight. I thank Mr. Foster for giving it to me in the WBC, but I rather pull out than embarrass myself, if not the state, or get one of the fighters hurt, you know, because I need to be there with my son. And I won some points with my wife.
Right.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Hey, they
and
say it.
that's most
Happy life,
important.
man. Happy life, you know?
That's most important. But wow, that's really something.
So they
Yeah.
gave it a Jack.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he did ask Dave and I if we were going to be at that fight.
Yeah.
I'm going to see what I can do. My wife's birthday is right in between weekends there, from December 2nd to the 9th. So maybe I could talk her into going. I don't know. What's that?
I said, watch yourself, do the right thing, man.
Yeah.
I know. If I go, she'll be there with me.
Yeah,
If not,
yeah.
then I'll stay home and watch it.
We talked about, you talked about there's no corruption, there's cameras, there's this and that. In boxing, there's always some type of controversial. We had Jack Reese. He's part of history when it comes to a very controversial fight, which is Fury and Wilder. Let me ask you this, because then I forgot to ask Jack this, but let me ask you. I have you on. Do you guys touch the gloves of the fighters before they enter the ring, or while they're in their corners? Do you go up to them, physically grab their gloves? Because I know that's one thing that a lot of these conspiracy guys are saying, like, oh, the refs don't do this, they don't do that. That's why these guys could sneak in with stuff in their gloves, or they could pull their hands out of the glove. I'd like to know, what is the procedure for you guys?
Our chief inspector, Mark Relia, he's hard on our inspectors, bro.
Mm-hmm.
He's hard. Now, mind you, when they're in the dressing room in California, they're with those fighters even when they go use the restroom. When their hands are getting wrapped, the inspectors are. When the gloves are put on, it's only the gloves that were picked the day before at the glove when they pick the gloves.
The glove selection meeting, yeah.
Yes. So, you know what? Again, there's human error, but when a fighter gets into the ring, we always check. I always grab Jack and Tom always look at the sizes, make sure the thumbs are attached. And but with that said, I heard this controversy with I guess he didn't have it. They're saying he didn't have his hand fully in the glove.
Right.
Yeah. You know, I just can't see that, bro. I just can't see that,
No,
you can. I mean, look at me. My wife got a thing here to make me good looking, bro. So, you can do all kinds of weird stuff with a camera nowadays,
right?
Bro.
Right.
Yeah. And we had
Jack was just. I'm not saying Jack is perfect, bro, and I keep saying Jack, but on top of those things, that was a mega fight, bro. You're gonna be on your
absolutely.
Yep. And Ray,
the world.
And Ray, we had the glove expert from Everlast come on with us.
Yeah, my buddy Ernie.
California is the one that caught the Margarito.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I was just saying we had the glove inspector for Everlast, and both fighters wore Everlast for that fight. We asked him everything, and he was just like, it is impossible for a fighter to have their hand fully wrapped with gauze and tape to be able to slide in and out. And yeah, it's just the most ridiculous thing. It's just sour grapes, Ray. That's all it is. And again, like I mentioned earlier, these channels here on YouTube, and this is why I can't stand some of these channels. They have major numbers as far as subscribers go, Ray. Big audiences, and they'll say these things, and all these guys will believe them, and they won't dare reach out to you or to Ernesto Gavion, who we had, who is the guy who gave them the gloves for that fight. They won't ask him to come on because they know he's going to say it's all BS, man. You guys are just making things up.
What will they say after that?
Exactly.
No.
Exactly. And that's exactly why this channel will never be that big, because boxing fans, for some reason, they don't like to hear the truth, Ray. They just don't. And that's why I'm glad someone like you decided to make a platform here on YouTube, make a channel and do what you do. And here's the link again, guys, right there. Click on that link. It'll take you to Ray's channel. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. This way, you know, whenever he goes live or drops a video. He does fantastic interviews with everybody in the business of boxing, and you'll get the real stuff there, guys.
Let me plant a seed with you guys.
Sure.
Planning in the new year to have like a barbershop talk, and I'd love to have you guys with me, Jack, Tom.
Oh
yeah.
Count me in, brother.
Yep.
Count me in. Yep.
Sit in the room and just throw us all kinds of questions, and we'll throw you guys back questions. And just, I really want that on my podcast, but I got you guys, you know, I'm hoping you guys commit to that. I'll give you a date, and I'm going to have a few other guys that I know are, they know their boxing, but I want you to throw those hard questions, those, you know, what do you think? And I don't think, and even if you have something, you know, that you don't like, say it, you know, but I'm really planning on that.
I got this question.
I'm there,
that
Ray. I'm there.
Yeah, you can count me in, and I'll drag G Funky here with me. But I got a question for you. Has there been a fight that has haunted you where you wish you could go back and re-ref, that you've been hard on yourself? Like, man, I should have done this. I should have done that. You know, I wasn't on my top game that night.
I don't know if it haunts me, but this is early in my career. I forget who the kid was. It wasn't a big fight. It was a club fight. It was a 6-rounder. He was from right here from Compton, African-American. He was just out of the amateur career. He was the main event. I think it was an 8-rounder. And he took this kid in the first round and really put it on him, and I stopped the fight early. And the coach, his coach, the winner's coach, got in and he got in my face and he goes, "What the F is your problem? You stole my fighter shine." And it's always stuck in my mind, like I should have let it go on, because the other fighter was still fighting, but because this guy was just overwhelming him, I jumped the gun, and it just taught me a lesson to just relax. And I think that's where my clinch, my little tick started happening. But I just jumped the gun, you know, and I stopped it too early, and I remember that. And this is why now I say, I don't want to steal his shine. I don't want to steal him getting hurt. I don't want to. I just stay calm and let it take its course. And God willing, I make the right decision, you know. And I get all these, you know, Ray, you're a great referee. And I, on my podcast, and I always say, love me today, hate me tomorrow. I hope you guys are, you know, hope you guys can this when I look at Tony Weeks. I love this man. He came up to bat for me in my suspension. I don't know if you knew about my suspension. Came up to bat, and you know, he had a couple bad calls these previous fights. But look at the mega fights he's done. The Diego Corrales fight. Yeah. You know what? Personally, I probably would have stopped it the second knockdown. But he let it go because he obviously, that experience, he's seen that, and that fight became history, man.
Yeah, it was one of the best fights I ever seen.
Before my career ends, I get a history-making fight like that one.
Oh yeah, yeah, and you're in position, Ray. You're right there in position.
Yeah, right there.
Like I said, man, I asked you that day down in Inglewood. I was like, you know, hey, what fight you got tonight? You're like, I'm main event, bro. You know, like
the show.
I was like, that's what I'm talking about, Ray. Yeah, man.
It was a good fight, Rocha. And
yeah, it was. That was a great fight. Yeah, great.
So you said your son's fighting December 9th in Long Beach. Is that going to be on the new? I think it's CBN Promotions. I think it used to be Thompson Boxing, but now it's run by yeah. That's cool, man. I'm glad that they decided to kind of revamp that brand, because Thompson Boxing is a great promotion.
Yeah, Alex, he took he with it.
Yeah, I'm glad, because you know, I covered a lot of Thompson cards. You know, I've covered their cards as media, and I've gotten to know some of the fighters that fought on those cards. And you know, we need promoters like that to keep this sport alive. You know, and a lot of fans don't realize that.
really want to go see a good fight, go to a club fight.
Yes.
yeah.
You'll
Those
see some of the
kids-
best fights ever.
Those kids are hungry. They don't care about money. They just want to get to the top, and they see their
Right.
opponent as literally as you're taking food from my mouth, man. And you're
Right.
Yep.
those club fights are awesome fights, bro.
Yep.
Got a really good
They're some of
question
the
in the
best fights
chat
you'll
room
see
here.
at club shows.
G Funky, you want to throw up that question? It's a really good question that El Cheeto has.
Which one?
Right there. Is there any procedures on making
Oh,
sure?
okay.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Is there any procedures on making sure waters are not spiked? Because they also said water was tampered with.
In that fight, and then that Wilder and Fury fight.
Yeah.
In California, you can't even have Gatorade in the dressing room, and all the bottled water is in the dressing room. It's bottled water, and you can only make the water in the dressing room. You can't bring in your own water, and everything is checked in the bag. It's almost like you're going in and out of prison, or what I
Right.
mean?
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Sounds like you're going to the airport working with
Yeah.
TSA, you know?
When they're in there, the inspectors go through their bags, because again, Mark Raylia, the chief inspector, he holds the inspectors accountable for all that. So
Right.
everything is checked. The cut medicine, it can't be open. It has to be new. No water can be brought in. You got to make your own water there. They have water there, and no Gatorade, no kind of energy drink. And so, no, that's not going to happen in California.
Yeah, and like you said, all the major states that do major
Prior,
fight cards. Oh yeah, Aaron Pryor, yeah.
Give me give me the mixed stuff.
Yep.
The one I mixed, yeah. No, all of the major states, California, Nevada, Texas, New York, they're all kind of universal in the rules, and they all kind of follow the same little things here and there change. But no, when you have the magnitude of fights that those states have, yeah, you're on top of everything, man.
Right.
These fans, it's just sour grapes. That's all it is, Ray. And the fact that they won't even ask someone like yourself, who's very accessible these days, right?
Yeah.
To talk about these things, they won't dare do it because they know the answer they're gonna get, man. But I'm all out of questions myself, Dave. If you have any more, go ahead, shoot them out there, brother.
No, man. I think Ray came on here and he killed it, bro.
Yeah.
Not only educated us, but he educated the listeners. And again, a great success story, bro. I
Yes.
look forward to continue to see your career, rise and do a lot of great things. And I always say that we need positive autos in our community, and you're up there, man. And thank you. I applaud you, man.
Thank you,
Yes,
brother,
sir.
for having me on, man.
And once again,
Absolutely.
guys, right there, just scroll up the chat, and there's the link to Ray's channel. Subscribe to it. I guarantee you will not be disappointed. Again, if you like this type of stuff that we do here on this channel, you'll love what Ray does on his, man.
It's
Trust me,
crazy.
on a whole other level.
And it's crazy because Jack Reese was like, Ray's really a shy guy. And I'm like, really, man? Because that podcast, bro, is really good, man. I'm like, that's crazy. But no, phenomenal podcast, man.
And Ray's a good guy in real life too, guys. Like I said, I had him on the show last year, but he's done a lot of shows since then. I just walked to him and say, "Hey, man, what's up, Ray?" And we talked briefly right there, and he's a very nice guy, very approachable.
I heard
And,
Ray gave you that look like, get away from me, Northerner.
well, I when I was talking to Ray, Jack comes up and I say, "Hey, Jack, man, I'd love to get you on. I already interviewed Ray," and he goes, "Well, if you interviewed this guy, then I don't want to talk to you."
Yeah,
these guys have such a fun relationship, man. But you're also on Instagram as well. That's right, on Instagram and TikTok. So let the fans know where they can find you there, Ray.
Ref Pop by Ray. Ref Pop by Ray.
There it is, guys. And again, Ray, thank you so much for your time, man.
Yeah,
we appreciate it. And we look forward to your next big assignment, Ray. We're always watching. We're diehard fans. We'll always continue to watch this sport and support it, man. And thank you for everything that you do, man.
and good luck to your son, man.
Yes,
Thank
good
you.
luck.
God bless, guys.
All right, Ray. Thank you
Take
so
care.
much. Let's give him a hand on the way out. Ray Corona. See you later, brother. Have a good one. Oh man, that was good.
Yeah, man, really good dude, and I've been talking back and forth with him through TikTok and everything, and And you could tell when a guy's really kind-hearted, and also he's sincere about it, because we originally had him scheduled. You remember, I
Yeah.
talked to him about coming on, and then my dad getting ill, and he fell down in the shower and stuff, and busted his hip, and so I had to cancel with Ray. I was like, hey man, I'm really sorry, something came up unfortunately with my father, and that's as much as I left it. And then going back and talking to him again, and with the schedules conflicting and all that, every time I spoke to him, it was always, hey, before anything, it was always, hey, how's your father doing?
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, he remembered, and we would continue on with our conversation, and even talk some boxing and stuff. So really, really genuine guy, man. I'm happy to was able to get him on. And
Yeah.
again, he answers the questions, questions that
Mhm.
a lot of us were wondering, and didn't shy away from anything,
Yep. And guys, keep in mind, man, we're going to continue to do this work, whether people like it or not, whether fans like it or not. So have your questions for my man El Cheeto here
No, it wasn't,
Ben
brother.
Davis.
It was in San Ho. It was a big old Ben Davis store in San Jose on First Street in Santa Clara. It was there, man, since the early 70s. Now I'm gonna tell you, I'm not sure, don't quote me on this, but I believe that Ben Davis started in San Jose, because if you go back, you can find the movie on YouTube, which is The Duke of Earl. A lot of the filming was done in the Ben Davis store on First and Santa Clara in downtown San Jose, where I'm from, born and raised in downtown San Ho.
A little history there, guys.
Yeah.
So go ahead and check that out. Yeah, man, I need to wrap this one up, man. Like I told you guys, battling a cold. The whole house is actually, and so, excuse me. So I'm gonna take some medicine and rest my head a little bit. But I want to thank you, Dave, for being here, man, and helping me get through this thing. You tried to drag me across the finish line, man. I appreciate you, man.
That's what homeboys are for, Rusty.
That's right, man. That's right. And all you guys in the chat, thank you so much. And for everybody that watches this, once it's over, don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe to my guy's channel here, Leave It in the Ring on YouTube, and also on Twitter. And what is it? On TikTok, same thing?
TikTok, same thing. Yeah, Leave It in the Ring.
Yeah, everything's Leave It in the Ring, guys. So make sure you follow him and check him out. We are out. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Take care.